returned to Seattle, where the Seahawks dominated the Vikings last night, nearly shutting out Kirk Cousins and company while controlling the ball and rushing for over 200 yards. At 8-5, Seattle is comfortably in the 5 seed right now, but they're not the only team riding an old-school philosophy to the postseason, with an 8-5 Dallas relying on their defense and running game to claw their way to the top of the NFC East. All right, the question here is, which of these 8-5 teams is more dangerous in the postseason, the Cowboys or the Seahawks? To me, Seattle has the better quarterback and the better coach, but Dallas has the better personnel, and I'm going to bet on the overall personnel of Dallas's defense. Ezekiel Elliott at the running back position is better than the three-headed monster they have in Seattle. And then the way Amari Cooper has revealed himself, I don't think that Seattle has a number one receiver of that level. I think Dallas is more dangerous.
I think it's actually Seattle. You said it, the coaching, the quarterback position, but also their run game. It's actually a better run game. It's number one in our league, even though it's by committee. They don't have that one workhorse like Zeke, but by committee, they put up more yards and dictate the tempo even more so than Dallas Cowboys. I go there. But also, just get into a playoff mindset, and the game's on the line, and Dak has the ball, or Russell Wilson has the ball. I mean, like, hey, we're splitting hairs now. It's time to get gangster in this comparison. And I've always looked at the quarterback position 3 ways. Do we win in spite of you? Do we win with you? Or do we win because of you? I have never looked at the Dallas Cowboys and said, we're going to win because of Dak. We're going to win because of Russell Wilson. That breaks the tie, and I go with the Seattle Seahawks.
I'm with you, Jason. I go with the Dallas Cowboys because when I look at what the Dallas Cowboys have been able to do defensively, I'm not even going to talk about the offensive yet, but defensively, they can completely eliminate offenses in what they do best. From the rush and to the pass. Like, that is who they are. That's an identity that they will hang behind. And you talk about Seattle running the ball, well, Dallas stops the run. So they will do that. And then when you go to the offensive side of the ball, what I love about the Dallas Cowboys right now is, yeah, they understand that our quarterback may not be the reason why we win, but it's not just our quarterback that you're playing against now. You're playing against our run game, which is Ezekiel Elliott driven, and our pass game, which is surrounded around an elite guy who has exuded and put confidence in a young quarterback to where now he's a threat. And you have to worry about him being a dual threat, escapability and running the ball as well as throwing the ball. I like where the Dallas Cowboys are trending.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Seattle, just to make it even, I guess. But I believe.
Way to earn that check, Tony.
No, but I believe it, though, because I think if you look at all things being equal, these teams, they're kind of a mirror image of each other. I think that's probably why we have the question. But then I'm going to go with the emotional intelligence of Seattle and what they bring to the table, the history of what they've been able to do over these last 5-6 years, from the Legion of Boom into the new defensive era that they have now. And Russell Wilson, that guy's chiseled, man. He's a winner. He's a flat-out winner.
Played poorly last night.
But for whatever reason, he always does so. He is the most, out of NFL history, that I've seen, especially in this day and age of quarterbacks putting up all these big numbers and all that stuff. He can do that, but he doesn't have to do that. He's in a league of his own. It's kind of like Patrick Mahomes is creating this new look as a quarterback. I feel like Russell Wilson has done that. To me right now, if he does what he did the first half of his career to the second half, he's a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. And you look at his numbers, it's not like Hall of Fame numbers, but you watch that guy play, man, he is awesome. And that's why I like him.
And you saw that they put up that he's his best in December. So when we're talking about December, January football, Russell Wilson improves his own performance, which is already high standard. So this is a guy that when the lights are brightest and the stage is the biggest, this is when he shows up. With Dak, a lot of question marks still.
I'm going to play the other side because I'm kind of like Tony. I chose Dallas, but I can argue either side, and I'm going to argue the Seattle side a little bit. My issue with Dallas is Seattle's more committed to their style that fits their personnel. Dallas isn't as committed. They still want to make Dak Prescott the man. And if they would just commit to, no, this is Zeke, this is the defense, and then Dak Prescott, then I think they would be better. But when they had this dude throw the ball 54 times the other night, when they led pretty much from start to finish, they're trying too hard to make this guy a franchise quarterback.
I understand that. I don't think that they're trying to make him the man in Dak Prescott. I think what they're trying to do is showcase what we have now at the skill positions at wide receiver. You got a young Michael Gallup who he's trying to develop chemistry. We got to throw the ball because at the end of the day in the playoffs, we all know this. They're going to take away what you do best. And so Ezekiel Elliott running the football, although he's had a tremendous amount of success in the regular season, it is going to be a lot more challenging in the playoffs. And the same with Amari Cooper. He's leading the league since he's gotten to Dallas in receptions, or I shouldn't say in receiving yards and touchdowns, but that's going to be minimized in the playoffs, and other guys are going to have to step up. Why not allow your young quarterback to get these reps right now when you know you're going to lean heavily on what you do best in the playoffs?
Marcellus, here's second layer that I wanted to ask you, and we'll end on this conversation. You are into this new offensive style of football, the video game, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
I'm sitting there going, man, these defensive teams, like a Dallas, like Seattle, like Baltimore, like the Houston Texans played, I think a defensive-led team can still win a title. What do you think?
Oh, they still can. I mean, if you look at last year's Super Bowl, we're talking about the two of the top 5 scoring defenses in New England and Philadelphia. However, that game was 41-33, so you still got to put up points even if you're going against a great defense. But I'm going to choose that the high-flying offenses this year will win the Super Bowl. And I give you this evidence, as I always do my homework in Studio City. You ready for this, Whitlock? Tell me which group you think is better. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 teams from each group. Group A, Ravens, Cowboys, Bears, Titans, and Texans. Digest that. Group B, Chiefs, Saints, Rams, Steelers, Chargers. Stop it. It don't take that long. Group B, right? You know why Group B? Because that's the top 5 scoring offenses versus Group A, which was the top 5 scoring defenses. Hey, man.
I like that group better.
You did,
but I'm not convinced that the defensive group isn't going to produce the champion.
So the Ravens, Cowboys, Bears, Titans, Texans, you will bet that they will beat those top offenses?
You got to remember, I love the Texans. I like J.J. Watt, Clowney, and Deshaun Watson. So
you wouldn't bet that Kansas City house on that, would you?
No. But again, I've said I'd like the Texans are my favorites to win the Super Bowl, and I still stand on that.
Okay. I think the defensive teams have more than a chance. They, in my opinion, that's what typically ends up standing out in the playoffs. Yes, you have to score points. I'm an offensive guy. I understand that. But you got to be able to stop some teams. And when you stop teams, that puts added pressure on them to put that ball in the end zone, and things start to get unraveled.
Yeah, I think if you look at the top 5, at least it was last week going into Sunday's game, I don't know what it is now, but the top 5 scoring offenses in the league are all divisional leaders.
Yeah.
Okay, so that just tells me right there. And then I think it was 7 out of the 8 are going to the playoffs right now, the top scoring offenses in the NFL right now. So right now it's still an offensive league, but there is a tide. The tide is a-turning, okay? I'm looking at these games now like last night and these games that happened this weekend and over the last 3 weeks. You're right. Some of those teams are surging. You got the Ravens. You got the Houston Texans. Defense is playing a role, and I think it's because the referees are starting to call these games differently than they did at the beginning of the season. It seems like there's less flags for being rough and tough. It seems like they're calling it more old school ways.
No question about that. And in terms, you can hit a guy. Now, I'm watching quarterbacks getting fallen on top of. There was a flag early in the season that they're not calling now. But I also read a theory a couple of weeks ago that someone said in the new modern NFL, defenses don't really show up till November. Just because of the way that you practice and training camp, it's not as physical. It takes the defense's time to get revved up, and they really don't get here till November. And that's what I think we're seeing late in this season with the Bears beating the Rams, with Baltimore playing very well inside Arrowhead Stadium. Obviously, last night's game was that was a defensive debacle. But I just think defenses are more important at this time of the year. Cold weather, it's harder for the quarterbacks to throw.
Bingo, that cold weather. Because it's not so much how much better we are defensively, it's how you're starting to slow down offensively. Yep. It's a lot of skilled players that check their gauges pregame. And when everything's not optimal, they don't play optimal. They don't have the same rhythm and tempo. Guys are like, I can't feel my fingers. I played in Buffalo. Guys are like, I can't feel my fingers. Go out there, you didn't catch any passes. It's just kind of go hand in hand, especially later in the season.
All right, before we let you go, we want to congratulate our man, Tony Gonzalez.
Oh.
He's going into the Chiefs Ring of Honor this Thursday night as the Chiefs and Chargers play in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium. I made my bones writing about Tony years ago. It's a well-deserved honor.
Yes.
Soon you'll be in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yes.
But I'm sure this is just as important to you. They put you in the Ring of Honor in Atlanta yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Man, but we'll see.
We love you more in Kansas City, Tony. Great career. Coming up, Mike Tomlin just tried to explain why he kept Big Ben on the sideline Sunday. We'll tell you if we're buying it next.